gorgeous. You look just like a virgin. Here, I brought you some crackers for your morning sickness.
Fran, it's a major thing. Thank you for having me. You're the legend. You're the star. I don't know if you noticed, but in Poland, the Nanny was a big show, and it still is.
I do know it, and I'm very grateful. And I visited your beautiful country, and I was very welcomed there.
And we're coming to the 30th anniversary of this show. And I'm curious, aren't you a little surprised that it doesn't age, that it still have major new followers?
I knew when we were making the pilot that we caught lightning in a bottle. Everyone that was making it knew we were onto something very special. And it was very embraced around the world very quickly. And I think that the luck of the timing was that as the internet and social media began to really take hold, and that was kind of driven by the millennials. They embraced the show on social media in a way that had never happened before. They could discuss it with other fans all over the world, and fan clubs never really had access to each other in that kind of immediate way. And so we kind of benefited from that level of intercommunication amongst the viewers who are very ardent fans around the world. And then as the millennials got older, they began to appreciate the show in a different way through adult eyes and understanding jokes that they didn't get when they were kids, or appreciating the costumes and the fashion in a way that, they weren't fully able to appreciate or enjoy as kids. And now they have kids of their own. So we have new fans that are children, tweens, teens, and they weren't even alive when we were shooting The Nanny, but they're the newest and very enthusiastic fans. And if you go on TikTok, you can see all of the young people who just love the show and love dressing up like Miss Fine.
And I'm curious, how did it started for you? Like, when you were approached with the script, was it what we saw in the pilot, or you guys were working it, trying to do it as best as you could?
Well, actually, I wasn't approached with a script. I was in England visiting my friend Twiggy, the supermodel from the 60s, and I was spending time with her little daughter, taking her around London, and I felt very funny with the kid because her new shoes were hurting her. And I told her to step on the backs of them. And she said, "Won't that break them?" And I said, "Break them in." And I thought, I'm telling her what's good for me because I wasn't ready to go back home yet with her. And so I called Peter, my husband at the time, and he continues to be my dearest friend and writing and producing partner, even though we're not married anymore. And I said, I think I have an idea that we should try and sell to CBS. What do you think about a spin on The Sound of Music? Only instead of Julie Andrews, I come to the door. And he said, that's great. We should call CBS and make an appointment and pitch it as soon as you get home from England. And it started right here. And then Peter and I together developed it and made the pilot, and it's always been our baby, and we've been involved from the very beginning. And from the very beginning, we were making sure that it was done to our vision and not what other people thought it should be. At one point, the network thought maybe the character should not be Jewish, but should be Italian. And we said, we're not Italian, and I don't think that we could write it as well. This is very much taken from my family and my background and my childhood, and it's much easier for me to do very quickly if it's something that I'm very familiar with and a character that I feel very close to. So really, it's all us, and we're very aware of the great success that it's had in many countries, and we're very familiar with the Polish nanny as well. And I have to say that, my grandfather immigrated to the United States from Poland. So I feel a great connection to Poland and the Polish people.
And I'm curious, in this day and age that everything is coming back, the Connors, Will and Grace, isn't this the feeling inside of you that you want to check up to your children to see how they grow up and what's happening with the characters?
Well, that definitely could happen. Right now, we're developing the Nanny musical for Broadway. And the studio recently came to us to discuss the possibility of doing a movie.
Whoa.
I am now the SAG-AFTRA national president, which is the largest entertainment union in the world. And I have one more year to go. So that takes up a lot of my time on top of my organization, Cancer Schmansa, and my acting career. So it's not something that's going to happen until at least when I'm done being the president of SAG-AFTRA. And then we can talk about it. I'm very grateful that it's as popular as it continues to be all over the world.
And Fran, I have to ask you also about your beginnings. What drove you to become an actor? Why this job? Like, what was in your perspective that you said, I want to do it not as my hobby, not as my thing that I wanted to do from a child, but I want it to be my job?
At a very young age, I thought I was good at several different things. And then I thought, what would be the thing that I would want to do most and probably never get tired of? And I thought that is probably acting. It feels like it comes very easy to me. It's always enjoyable. It's always different. I don't have to be in an office. It's not 9 to 5. So I decided that I was going to pursue acting because it seemed the least like a job. And then I ended up doing all the things that I thought I could possibly do as my life continued. Not only am I an actor, but I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm a best-selling author. I do stand-up comedy. I do speaking engagements. I'm very active in Washington with legislation. And now I'm the head of a union. So I'm an ambitious person that likes to try different things and not stay with the same thing all the time. And I think that I need to have a lot of stimulation. So I'm grateful that my life has unfolded in a way that allows me to wear many different hats. I also am very vocal in my activism in defending people who are marginalized and protecting people's civil liberties. And so all of those things, I think, are the things that make my life feel rich. I hope that, your viewers will go to cancerschmansa.org and they'll get this great book, and it's for the nanny. It's a beautiful book for children, and I wrote the foreword in it. And you can also buy autographed copies of it as well. But it's in support of, my organization, and it's just so beautiful. And
remember the graphics from the
cartoon, the opening titles. That's
exactly
what they copied. And, I'm very proud of my organization, Cancer Schmansa. I'm a cancer survivor, and we're one of the very few organizations in the health space that actually questions why are we getting sick in the first place? And how can we eliminate the cause of illness so that we can all be healthier and stronger and live in a cleaner, less toxic environment? So I urge everybody to go to cancerschmancer.org and learn how I can help you help yourself stay healthy and well and bolster your immune system and stop buying the things that we bring into the home that weaken the immune system and allow sickness to enter into our lives.
I think actually every year we're more informed about the food that we eat and what we put in our bodies. So I think that your organizations and many others are doing great job in informing us, because we know that some things are bad for us, but till we don't hear it like 1,000 times from many different persons, we actually don't believe it.
Well, I could tell you this much. It really doesn't matter what kind of food you eat as much as whether or not it's industrial farmed foods that have a lot of pesticides and herbicides, or farmed animals that are living horrible lives and being shot up with growth hormones and antibiotics. If the land is being sprayed with glyphosates, these are all the things that are hurting the planet. You are what you eat. And if you're eating food that's got tons of chemicals and you're eating animals that are miserable, treated horribly, and then full of antibiotics and hormones, eating food that's not meant for them to eat, and that's GMO processed stuff, that's why you're going to get sick. But if you eat very pristine food that's grown the old-fashioned way, and animals that are living practically like wild animals, the way God intended them to live and eat, I think that you're going to be okay. So
all right. I will ask you then, if you don't mind. I will stop
Sure.
here. When did it come to you? When did you start to make the difference in your life? Because sorry for that, but I don't believe that you were living like this from the beginning. Everybody has this one point that they are trying to change it. When did it come to you?
Well, I started on this journey after I survived cancer. I was a uterine cancer survivor. And from that, I started to get involved in legislation in Washington. I successfully lobbied to get passed the first Gynecologic Education and Awareness Act by unanimous consent, which means all 100 U.S. senators said yes. And that was a big accomplishment. And then I was appointed by the U.S. State Department the title of Public Diplomacy Envoy, where I went around speaking to our allied nations and military about health and empowering yourself by making the right choices with lifestyle and what you eat. And I went to Poland during that time. And then I started...
Okay,
I started to ask why we get sick in the first place.
No. My question is, because this is your activist side, and I understand that. But my question is, when did you open your refrigerator and saying like, we have to change, like this and this and this? It cannot be in our house anymore.
Right. I was getting to that because I started to ask myself, how come no one is asking why we're getting sick in the first place? What is causing it? And can't we just identify causation and eliminate it so that we don't get sick in the first place? And that was when I really started to look at what we bring into the home every day, from what's in the refrigerator to what's under the sink in your kitchen cabinet to what you're cleaning with, what you're gardening with. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But if you could just start with that and keep it eco-friendly, because our health and the health of the planet is completely codependent. And if we're doing things that are hurtful to the planet, ultimately it's going to hurt us too. So all life is one interdependent living organism. And so we have to start thinking that way. And it takes a little bit of time. initially until you find the replacement products. But as you run out of things, keep, I got rid of my microwave oven because that changes the metabolic structure of the food. I don't cook with aluminum foil because that gives off noxious gases that are unhealthy. I use parchment paper. I don't use plastic wrap because plastic is very bad for the planet. I use wax paper instead. I buy only eco-friendly cleaning products, or I make my own using white vinegar, rubbing alcohol, peppermint oil, lemon juice, baking soda, the combination of those. And we teach you how to use it and make your own cleaning products on cancerschmanza.org. And then what are you eating? And what is your personal care items? And what is your oral hygiene? What are you putting in your mouth? If your toothpaste says, do not swallow or call poison control, don't buy that toothpaste because that's counterintuitive for what you're putting in your mouth every day. The gums is the gateway to a lot of dis-ease in the body. So it's just a never-ending deepening of detoxing your home, because the home is the most toxic place we spend the most time in, and ironically have the most control over. And once you start shopping differently, reading labels, you engage your family to do the same, it becomes an effort that everybody engages in. And I promise you, the cleaner everything is in your home, the healthier you and your family will be. I see it in myself. And then
I wanted to say that actually when I see you here, and I see you from the computer, not live, but I can imagine that in life it's more breathtaking. You didn't age a thing. And I was watching you as a 9-year-old, and I think that you look younger now than you were looking then. So I think it works.
Oh, thank you. It really does work. People, say, why do you look so good? And I say, I live very pristinely. I hardly ever drink alcohol. Very rarely will I have a little glass of wine. It shows on my skin immediately the next day. If I drink, I do drink a lot of water, and it's pristine water. And everything that I'm doing, I don't even use sunblock. I just use an umbrella, because I think even sunblock is, hard to find unless you use like titanium or zinc. It's hard to find one that's totally clean. And honestly, I don't use regular perfume anymore. Anything that has a strong, long-lasting smell is actually a carcinogen. I use all natural and organic essential oils that are mixed together and smell beautiful. And it's just a constant making different choices. And no matter how far you go, you keep seeing that there are other opportunities. I was just looking to buy a baby gift for a couple of people that recently had children, and I'm going to buy them organic cotton little onesies, because the baby should have organic cotton on their skin and not, cotton that's been grown with a lot of pesticides and herbicides and or synthetic fabrics, which give off-gassing. If you were to buy like wrinkle-free linens for your bed, or shirts, 100% cotton, but it's wrinkle-free, that's doused in chemicals. And even 10 years after washing it, it's still giving off the noxious.
And if I ask my last question, because they are writing to me here that we have to finish. My last question is about your movie career, and the question is, do you remember your first time in front of the camera, and can you tell me how was it?
Well, my first movie role was in Saturday Night Fever. And it was amazing because I was a fan of John Travolta from the TV show he was doing, Welcome Back, Kotter. I was still living at home with my parents. I was a teenager. And I felt very lucky to get this speaking part in a scene with John. And it was just extremely exciting. And it was the beginning of, my professional acting career. So it was really thrilling when I think back. I, even as a teenager in my first part, I had chutzpah then. I have chutzpah now. And I am tenacious and creative, and I created a little character, even though she only had a couple of lines. But it's one of those clips that they always show, and I'm very grateful. I saw him on a red carpet a few years ago, and he said, "I'm so proud of your success." And I said, I was a fan then, and I'm still a fan. And it was, a great beginning to my career to work in a scene with you. So I've been very fortunate, and I continue to be very grateful. And I leverage my celebrity for the greater good, because if you don't, I think you're wasting it. And I just want to try and influence people to make kindness and compassion their compass, to be kind to the planet and detox, and not support manufacturers that don't care about your health, the health of your family or your pets or the planet. It's crazy. Money at the expense of all things of true value, like air, water, earth, and your own health, is stupid. We can support businesses that actually have a consciousness for what's truly valuable and precious to us all.
I remember one of the stand-up comedians said that the biggest lie is we have to save Earth. Earth will survive. We're the one that needs to be helped.
Well, the planet would do better if we didn't exist, no question, because we behave like a malignancy. We don't want to die, and yet we destroy our host. So when you think about it in those terms, I believe that we were put here to shepherd the planet, to protect it, to love all life on it. And that's not really what's happening. And either we pivot very quickly, or we will go down a rabbit hole towards our own demise, and we'll probably take many species with us, and the planet will change because it's always in a state of flux anyway. But why not learn the lessons now? I think even this whole COVID thing was an opportunity for us to really examine how to live healthier so that we can better support our immune systems, so that we can move forward resisting viruses like COVID and other viruses that will come, down the pike that we haven't even thought about.
For me, it's funny that we cannot deal with Mother Earth, and we're destroying it, and yet we don't want to help it. We think to colonize Mars, like we could do better over there. That's the biggest joke, I think.
It's maniacal, really. And the people that are pushing that kind of propaganda are sick. And we shouldn't get swept up in that fanfare. Mars, we are of the earth and the sun. This is our home. And we have to fix what we're doing wrong here because there's no air there. And it's a barren place. And it's sad to think that that's the solution, to go to a place where we don't belong and aren't a part of. This is a glorious place, and it's just so beautiful and magical and spiritual. And we have to connect to our spirit nature and our love of nature and be kinder to each other. And the more people that can do that and each one teach one, the better an opportunity that we have to be better, a better species on this planet, and be more helpful and less hurtful.
And I think it's a perfect ending. Thank you, Fran, for having me for this time. I hope we will have opportunity in the future to see each other eye to eye in face. But till then, thank you very much. Stay safe and do your good job because you're doing it perfectly. Thank you very much.
I so appreciate that. And thank you to all your Polish viewers. I love you. And I am Polish. And I look forward to coming and visiting you again. Thank you for supporting the Nanny.
We're waiting for you. Thank you.